This your boy El Boogie. Just wanted to let you know that here on Guilty by Association's podcast, we are shedding light on life experiences from our own guilty flaws, lessons learned, and still learning as men, and taking a positive outlook from negative circumstances. With a mix of tackling hot topics impacting us in our communities today, GBA is about making moves. So we'll be diving deep and shedding light on important social issues that keep you in motion. So come take a ride with us through this thing called life, with exciting discussions and interviews that will be brutally honest, but fun. But remember, as you enjoy, you'll be guilty by associations.
Givers need to set limits because takers rarely do. Rachel Walken. All right. What's going on, good peoples?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
It's good.
Yeah,
Happy
back
to be
at it
here,
again,
baby.
man. Yeah. Good to see y'all. We ain't did this in a minute, but we back. Actually, before we get started in today's topic, I want to make sure that we get shouts out to, we just had Mother's Day that just passed. You know how our reputation for our shows, we always doing it around some major holidays, major times. So we want to make sure we didn't want this episode to go without acknowledging the mothers. So I had an idea, fellas, for Mother's Day. I figure we'll do a special tribute, I guess, to our moms or women's in our lives that for Mother's Day. What would be top three favorite memories or advice or lessons? I think that would be a good way to acknowledge our mothers. Y'all agree?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So who want to set it off?
I'll go first.
Big Mike in the building.
My first two is stuff that she has said to me. She says it's not sometimes what a person says, sometimes it's what they don't say.
So I like that.
Yeah.
Y'all might have heard
let me hear that one more time. I like that. I gotta write that
it's
down.
It's not sometimes what a person says, it's sometimes what they don't say.
Yeah. I like that.
Number two, y'all probably heard something similar like that, like what I'm about to say. I think we've discussed this amongst ourselves. If you loan somebody money, don't expect it back. If they do pay it back, take it as a blessing. She says that to me all the time.
Yeah.
And this is not a saying, but this is something that she has taught me. She taught me the importance of being closer to God. She survived cancer, COVID last year. She's now a widow, and she just keeps going, man. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell that stuff bothers her. And I'm like, what is your secret? I'm more down than you. And, she's like the strongest woman I know, my best friend. And, I give much respect to all the mothers that's out there. Keep doing your thing, and we salute you.
No doubt.
Wow.
Yeah, El Bull, what you feel? What you got?
Yeah, you always got love for Ma Dukes. The lessons and things she taught me first, like similar to Mike, taught me who God is, be close to God, stay close to Him. All the things I did that happened wrong in my life was because when I didn't listen to my mom. So that's I told you so. She said it without saying. So but she always still been in my corner. Another example or thing that stood out for my mom is that she don't play that. When I say she don't play that, she don't play with anybody, whether it be the kids or any other human being. When she in terms of disrespect or anything like that, she's just that type of woman. I don't play that. She'll stop in the middle of the street to ask somebody, "What did you say?" Clarify before she moves forward. But that's another thing that I appreciate about her. Give respect. You get respect by giving respect. So that's something
Yes.
I learned from her. And I think the key thing she always taught me was love. You know, this
Mhm.
universal just love. She loves her family, she loves others, she loves just people in general. But that's just the black woman. They exude that. So that's the things that she taught me that will forever uh, lead my life.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess
Oh,
for me,
that's good,
man,
man.
like, yeah, it was real good. Yeah. Um, I guess for me, it's kind of the same thing, with you all. Um, it's my mother kind of same thing. Is just everything that y'all mentioned, all the same things. But for me, I got two women that I want to make sure that I for Mother's Day would be, of course, obviously my mother, but then also my wife, who's the mother of our children. So for me, starting with my mother, best friend, hilarious. She is hilarious. She always going to have some jokes. Um, she keep you laughing. She always keeps me laughing. So, and anybody else, my mom, she always got jokes.
Yeah,
El Boog,
she got mad
she do.
jokes. Got mad expressions. She got expressions too, man.
Man, shout out to the godmothers too, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Something that I guess going back to a phrase, since you mentioned some phrases, I know one thing that my mother used to tell me, which wound up being very important for me, especially being an entrepreneur. Um, just in general, she always used to say, "People will be people, or people will do people things," and it sounds so simple, but for me, it said a lot, and it made me prepare for any kind of letdowns or challenges, just to remember that people are going to be people, and we have no control of that. And so I always appreciate that saying, and then along with many others that she has. And then her grind with class, like just seeing her being a single mother, the way she grinded. And I know we always talk about, I know as just being little older heads, that our parents and grandparents is like a different type of class that Cosby, uh, Felicia Rashad type of classy type of generations.
Yeah,
And so just to know that the grind that she had to endure, raising me and being in the city, and still did it with class, man. Still a lady, and
Yes.
I always look up to her as well for that. Then my wife, she always challenges me. Again, great mother for our kids. So that I can't thank her enough on that. And she has a saying that her in nods to her grandmother, who her family, along with my wife, passed it on to me. She always says, "You can't go wrong doing right.
I
You
like that.
can't go wrong doing right." Definitely. So definitely want to give a shout outs again, like you said, godmothers, mothers, aunts and sisters that step in their mother roles.
Yes.
All these wonderful women
grandmothers.
that help, the grandmothers, that raised us mothers. So we thank y'all. This is our way for just to thank you all at GBA. You know what I'm saying? So we want to just say Happy Mother's Day. So getting into no further ado, getting into today's topic, I'm going to pass the mic to El Bug. El Bug, what you got for us?
You're the maestro today, brother.
Yes, sir. You hold it down. El Boogie in the
There
building.
we go.
We ain't got a round of applause. Give a little clap in here for my man holding it down.
Appreciate that. You guys got me like the cold out my eye. Let me see what's going on with you fellas. So we had discussed previously a topic that we kind of noticed or wanted to check to see if we all noticed the change during the COVID situation. And that is the topic of government assistance. Now, when we say government assistance, we wanted to see if any one of the listeners, or we're going to communicate amongst ourselves today, to see if we see any differences of government assistance that's out there, usage of government assistance, and more so abuse of government assistance. So what we're going to do, we're going to touch on a couple things. Hopefully, it won't be sensitive to those who's out there listening. It's just a perspective. Just asking, have you noticed it? Are you using it? Is it helping you? The government assistance supposedly is helping those who are part of the government. It's out there for us.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but as we know, no matter
Don't come at us. We definitely acknowledge that, you know, for those on the serious note, we will make sure we have in our comments as well in the show notes that, you know, anybody that needs assistance, you know, get that assistance
Please
is
get
available
it.
for you. Yeah,
right,
Please get
please
it.
get it. So, you
And the
know, we're not here to
disclaimer
offend
to
nobody.
any investigators, we have not abused the system. We don't know anybody personally. We've just heard these stories. So
we heard some stories. We heard some stories. Now people might have heard it in
yeah.
the news.
Now, if you want to have us guilty by association, you know,
Right,
that's understandable. But don't charge us with nothing because we don't know nothing.
This is a true example of why our show is called Guilty by
right.
Associations. You get a chance to see the
Exactly.
reason why.
So when we put our hands up, hey, we don't know nothing.
Just conversation. This is just
Just
conversation. It's
conversation.
conversation.
All right, so there's a lot of different government programs out there. I got a couple of them that's listed out. We're going to touch on a couple of them, get our perspective on them, talk about them briefly, then move forward to the next assistance program. But one that I think that stands out, fellas, I'm going to ask you guys: food stamps. Now, food stamp program has been around for a long time. Alexander, how long would you say the food stamp program been out?
Well, after I did my homework, it looked like it's been since the 1930s, man.
Just the
Wow.
Really, the 1920s. They say it was around the 1920s when they had what they was calling they introduced what they call the mother's pension in the 1920s. But it was around the 1930s that they, after that Great Depression, is when they really officially started um, doing assistance, financial government,
gotcha.
welfare assistance, because all of it still falls under welfare, right?
Right under
So,
the same umbrella, right? But that one point of food stamps, you stop and think about it. In general, it's just a shame that people cannot be afforded food without having to ask. It should be something that should be,
mm,
but these are programs put in place for all who need it. Hey, if I need it, I'm gonna use it. If you out there
yeah.
still need it, we encourage you to use it. But what's your experience, fellas, with food stamps, good or bad? Don't be shy about,
Well,
First of all, are you talking about legal or illegal? Because I did buy some food stamps on somebody back in the day.
you tell them on
yeah. I mean, they use that card now, so they just hand you that
It's
like
been more than 10. It's been more than 10 years.
Okay, well let me take you back there. I'm gonna take you back in time. Paper food stamps. Now you guys are old enough to know what a paper food stamp is.
yeah.
Did you ever use any paper food stamps?
Yes.
Did you buy
Me, I haven't, but I used that card though before.
the card?
I used that card, that like food stamp card
No,
that they have now.
Oh yeah.
You coming to the
Yeah.
future. You talking about back in the day when it was different.
Back
Nah,
in the day, we had
I
to pay.
did. I honestly never have.
Never have.
Yeah, that's back when they had. That's back when they had the booklet. You know what I'm saying? With all the
Terrible.
Yeah,
different.
I know how they look now. I ain't that out of
Oh yeah.
touch, but
So you ain't that out of touch?
I always think of the Bismarcky video when
Oh, with the wet food stamp.
yeah, the wet food stamp.
But what do you
I mean, you know
about that? The food stamps. Okay, so food stamps back in the day when people were getting food stamps for whatever amount, and people were using them for buying food. What do you feel about those when people were selling those food stamps? What do you think about that?
Oh, it
I
was
think
definitely was wrong. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead. Go ahead.
me, I don't know if it's wrong, man, because sometimes they had to do what they had to do. I mean,
Mm.
but I don't know. I'm anxious to see what some of these comments are going to be. I mean, some might have had more than enough food, and it's close to the end of the month that it's about to come back around and cycle around again, and they might have actually needed money for certain stuff, for certain bills, and they resorted to selling them. So, um, I think that's supposed to not be the right thing to do. I mean, morally, but survival is,
Mm.
you got to
Yeah, it's
survive
funny you
out here
said that,
too.
Mike, because it's like as you was talking, yeah, yeah, because as I was listening to you and I have to agree with you that some people that I know that did sell food stamps, I mean, it came from a place where like they needed it for like either to keep the lights on. They didn't know how to get the assistance to get lights turned on. They had to hustle it. Unfortunately, you saw some that was doing it because of addictions, but you also
Yes.
did have some that were doing it legitimately because they needed to, maybe get a Christmas toy for their child or something, So was it right? It probably wasn't right, but there was times that was probably a necessity. They had to do it. That's the only thing they had in their hand that had some value that they can be able to use to be able to, to get their kids something,
Right. You
So
get, yeah.
that's kind of I've seen it.
That's a good point you
Yeah.
made, that the value it has, because you got to stop and think that food stamps is a form of currency. That's all it is. It's a form
Mm-hmm.
of currency that you
Yes.
could actually purchase food with. Now, also in the society we live in, we also have a barter system here. Hey, and like you were saying, Big Mike, hey, if I gotta pay the light bill and get rid of some of these stamps, I had to do what I got to do. Now, is it morally
Yeah.
right? It depends on where you live at. Is your light bill being paid for? Are you having
Right.
problems going in and out the
Yeah.
refrigerator? You want to open the
Right.
refrigerator with
Right.
food in it with no light in it, or do you want to
Right.
walk in your house with a light in it with food in the refrigerator? That's the point.
Yes.
We
Right.
got to stop and think about it. Those are hard choices. In America
Yeah.
and around the world, depending on your financial status, those are the hard choices. You got to bargain food or the
Yes.
opportunity to get food in order to do other things, whether it be necessities, whether it be extra. Because I know people, without getting into everybody's business, people who sell their whole joint because they pay their rent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
it
Yeah.
gets real.
And
Yeah.
kids, I mean, I'm sure they've been faced with some very tough decisions.
You're
Um,
right.
just think your kid going to school and some of those trips and stuff like that costs.
Right.
They don't want
Right.
their child
Yeah.
left out, so they'll do what they have to do. So um, I know I don't mean to get off topic. I know we're going to probably touch on this later, but I do want to say to the public too. Um, this government assistance ain't just a black thing either. I don't know why the face of it is always on people of color and blacks, but um, just as
Yeah.
many other races is on it, if not even more, is getting some type of government assistance. I just wanted to plug that in there.
Yeah. I feel you. Yeah, and I have to agree with y'all as well. Like, definitely not in a place to judge because though going back to that question again about it's right or wrong. Because again, who are we to judge if we're not in their shoes? Where like you said, and somebody may not think a gift or a toy could be just get they just wait about it next year. You don't know the situation and what that
Yes.
especially the child's in the hood where they, a toy is probably all they got. They get once a year.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what that parent choices are made. And also, I guess we're not even looking at the benefit that persons who buying the food stamps need food too.
Right.
That's not the conversation we
Yes.
having. They may
That's
be selling to
yes.
somebody who's in need for food, who can't
Right.
get the
Oh
food stamps.
man.
Because that's one of the things that I noticed when I was doing my homework for this episode was that's one of the cons of many cons of any kind of assistance is that it's a cumbersome process. It's a lot of paperwork that gets into play that some people can't qualify for or can't get, and they
Man.
need food. So we're not even looking at it may be wrong and that for that particular person who sold it, but who they sold it to may need it maybe even more.
Right.
You know.
Excellent point, Alexander. Man, excellent point, man. That's something I never looked at too, man. I mean, they might be doing it to help somebody else out.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
especially
Who
in the
who
Exactly.
community, we try to look out for one another. And
yes.
people actually they'll tell you in advance, I got them stamps, but they coming. They know they make their rounds. You know, and there's been times that people people who can afford it. Now, see the point that I think when you talk about abuse is when people could afford to actually go get their food. When they say, "Well, I'm gonna give you 50 for 100, and then I'm gonna get $100 worth of food." So, but once again, with the prices of the grocery stores and whatnot, is it still wrong? You got to stop and think morally.
Mhm.
You got to use your own moral judgment in regards to that. Because I'm trying to get $100 worth of food for $50, even though I can afford to get groceries, I can still make that stretch. And the person I'm buying
Mm.
from, they're still benefiting. So what's wrong with it? People might say. So,
Right.
it is just something to think about. But the government assistance, one of those topics that we pointed out, food stamps. I think that's one of the most popular situations in the Black community you might hear about. People either using it, abusing it. But like you said at the top of the
And
show,
and
right?
and and the, and El Boog, the proper term now, they don't call it welfare or food stamps no more. It falls under the temporary assistance for needy families. I think it's called TANFA is what they call it as an acronym.
What was that again?
But temporary assistance for needy families, and they kind of acronym it like TANFA. I think that's the acronym for it.
Well, you can't
But
sell that in the hood, man. You can't sell. We got food stamps, man. That's what I. But I know what you're saying, yeah. Because I know through your research, I know you had found out that like a lot of these programs are under one umbrella. So those listening, if we say something as far as a program's concerned, if it's overlapping or redundant, we apologize. But we just want to just touch on a couple topics. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Section 8, or as it's been called back in my day, welfare.
well, all of it is welfare, dog.
Well, hey, that's where we start with. That's what
It's part that it falls on the list of housing,
housing.
man.
So
Housing.
I'm glad you're
Yeah.
here, Alexander, because you're giving the politically correct terminology. I'm just an old head who grew up in a poor underclass community in which people had welfare. So, okay, housing. Okay, housing, Section
Uh,
8.
okay, so the six. Before I let you go on and move on, we'll tell you the
Let's break that.
six.
Yeah, let's get that out of the open.
Yeah. There's six major welfare programs.
All right.
All right, there's six of them, and I just said I think I just told you the temporary assistance for needy families, the TAFA. That's what they changed, and that used to be, where all the food stamps and all that good stuff is at. Then we have actually I'll take that back. It's actually SNAP is the food assistance. So we have another one called SNAP. That is the supplemental nourishment or nutrition assistant program. It's called SNAP, commonly known as food stamps.
So SNAP and food.
And then
Okay.
SNAP is the food stamps. Then we have the welfare for assistance needing for families. Then you have Medicaid. So Medicaid is the welfare for any kind of medical conditions, stuff like that, and hospitals and doctor appointments and all that fun stuff. Then you have supplemental SSI, supplemental security income. That is just extra cash to help you when you're low, low income, or you're living with disabilities. So that's the SSI.
Okay.
Then you have the EITS, or the Earned Income Tax Credit. So that's the one everybody jokes about. Every tax season they trying to get that extra check. That's the EITC.
Okay.
And then you have housing. So that is supposed to be the six major welfare programs, which is TANFA, SNAP, Medicaid, SSI, EITC, and housing.
Okay. So housing. All right. So Big Mike, you get all six of those?
Yeah.
I see you shaking.
Now, to repeat them,
I'll leave the
Now I want you to repeat them.
I'll leave the link to
But
the National Welfare
definitely
Program.
put that. We're gonna put that link in our comments. So people who need to utilize that or need to look it up, it'll be there. Now, even though we laughing about this, these are programs out there for everyone. And
It's
from
very
a given
serious.
point, any three of us could need this assistance.
yes,
So we
that's
don't
Yep.
want
true.
to look down or act as though we are better than anyone, because that is not the case. Because I have
Not at all.
friends who have utilized probably one or all those programs at some given time.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's out there to help people.
If you're a tax-paying citizen, you're affected by one way or another.
One
So,
way or the other, we putting our money in the pot. You know what I'm saying?
yep. So,
But let's talk
So I'm
about
gonna get it when I need it.
housing. So what do you know about housing? What you guys have experienced with housing or known in regards to this program out there, whether it be utilized or abused?
Nah,
I've seen it from a business perspective, and I've seen it from people personally. I've seen business owners, real estate investors, like Man, I ain't dealing with no Section 8 housing, man.
But
They
it's
ain't gonna.
guaranteed money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guarantee
but
money.
they're like, man, they have their perception of they gonna tear my property up, and
Well,
and some actual HOAs, they have it that you can't even rent your house out or any of that. So um I've only known a couple of people that told me, they're living off Section 8, but yo, man, them houses was all right, man. I mean, the people that I know, I was like, I ain't find out later, like, what, this Section 8? I'm like, all right, that's what's up. So,
Right.
um, man, like we said, when we first started this off, man, there are plus and minuses to it. All the people out there that really need it, and do your thing, man. You abusing it though. You remember, man. You taking away from somebody who might really need that help.
all
So
right. So abuse, since you brought it up, Alexander, what do you know about abuse? Not saying you did it, but what do you know about
Guilty. I'm guilty by association. I'm guilty by associations. Well, this is one of those topics kind of uh that I kind of have little thing with, because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen it abused, and I've seen it utilized like it's supposed to be. So I have like little mixed feelings when it comes to the whole housing Section 8. I guess I probably really started noticing, or I say my first real true experience of someone telling me that they was on Section 8, or was
yeah,
on something like that, was actually when I moved to the South from New York. So I grew up in in the projects, in the projects, around the projects. So when I came down to the South, and I'm seeing folks that's calling themselves in the hood, so I want to see what this hood look like, because I'm used to 20 some floors, 40 some floors. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see the projects. So I'm getting down there. They got. I'm looking at some of these housing. They look like condos. These cats got upstairs, downstairs.
yeah, that
Talking about they on
like
Section
that.
8. I'm like, how you have Section 8? You upstairs and downstairs up in here. You got a condo from where I'm
got
from.
got the nice whip outside,
No
and
elevator,
Yeah.
no.
the satellite. Some of them got the satellite,
The-
outside on
my
satellite
thing is like,
TV.
and I know this is one of those things where it's a mindset, unfortunately, for people that they think that, and that's kind of one of those, kind of debates and situations that I find that, you have some people who need to get assistance, and they allow themselves to want to be assistant, and they don't, sometimes they don't know how to think outside the box, or think, down the road, right? So they just used to, they kind of like, almost like they feel shame. And so there's
Yeah,
nothing to be shamed to get help. There's nothing. Matter of fact, I was talking to my son about that today, about, I was listening to that J. Cole new album. He was talking about, pride. Pride is the devil, and sometimes we want to be too prideful, especially as a people. Unfortunately, because I respect the grind we had to go through as a people in this country, but sometimes our pride can get the best of us. Where there's nothing wrong with getting assistance, but
nothing.
that's not where you at. You want to be able to still be able to think forward and move forward. And I think sometimes um, some of our people will feel like they can't do any better, right? And so sometimes in these same housing that I'm talking about, I remember going into people's spot. I'm like, yo, won't you just won't you take some of the crayon off the wall? Don't let the kids write the crayon on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Get you a bed frame, and get the mattress off the floor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you, but then in these same projects, in these same, Section 8, you see some of the older ladies, and the senior citizens in the neighborhood, that their houses are beautiful. It's gorgeous. They treat it like it's supposed to be treated. And but I remember I had a homegirl that moved down from Jersey, and she was going through a nasty divorce or what have you. And she admitted that she had to do, Section 8. She was living in the project. But I mean, when you walked in her house, you would have thought this was, you know what I'm saying, high rise downtown.
Just chilling.
I mean, it was spotless from the front door, you know, all the way up to the top of the ceiling. It was spotless. And she counted it as a blessing. Like, I only got to pay this much a month. I mean, she did it for about 6 months till she got on her feet.
Yeah.
got a job like she wanted, and she's still forever, grateful and thankful for that, and that's how I feel like the system should be should be utilized. Not something shouldn't be something that's long term. I think it should be something to help
I,
you,
I would never knock nobody for that, because shoot, they times I've been in my house like, dang, I wish this was Section 8. I ain't lying.
man, you talking about, man. I'd be glad to pay it. That's what I told her the other day. I'd be glad to pay that right
I
there. Don't
remember
get me wrong.
my first 3 months in my house, it was a shocker. Like, dang, did I make a mistake? But
Don't get it twisted. All this information I gather, I was like, I put this right to the side in case I need it one day. You
yeah,
never know.
man. So,
But let me paint a quick picture. Let's see if you
all
guys
right.
can relate to this picture in regards to housing, whether you know someone utilizing this situation or not. All right, so you got a housing set up. A young lady's trying to sign up for the program to get into this housing. There's her and her two young ones. She comes, present herself to the leasing officer, what have you, and shows her proper documentation, the paperwork, her financial status, how much money she got coming in. She qualifies. Okay, they put her inside this, like you say, upstairs, downstairs. In our perspective, high rise for the most part, but it's a housing. She's approved. Now, they tell her the qualifications. They tell her the rules and regulations. You got to be clean. You can't have no other grown people living there that's not supposed to be there. X, Y, and Z. And then the girl presented a beautiful. Well, I just moved in town. My two small children. I'm going to school for whatever. Blah blah blah. Okay, they tell her the rules. 2 months later, her man moves in. All right. Then they gotta have the monthly inspection. On the inspection, he's got to get out the house because he ain't supposed to be there. Because otherwise, she gonna be disqualified or get thrown out, or they're gonna raise the rent, or whatever the case may be. So then he goes, he comes back. So then she has uh, another person move in, and they're paying a cash statement because look, it's only $300 for that's coming out of her pocket, or $150 coming out of her pocket, and the rest getting covered by section or housing. I'm sorry. And now you're gonna charge that person $150, $200 because they need some place to stay because they're in need. But once again, every time they come do inspections, everybody's get out of there, and it's the same old scenario. So this scenario right here, what do you guys feel about that? Now somebody's helping other people because they need places to stay. Are they getting over on the system, or do you think that they're just doing what needs to be done?
Unfortunately, the rules are the rules, man. Whether we agree with them or not, I mean, they need to follow them, the best of their ability. But, like we said earlier, I'm not going to judge, because you got to do what you got to do to survive. And they're actually doing a good service of trying to help somebody. But that's that chance you taking, man. It's like,
All right, but
that's why that ownership, man, and which we're going to have a show on, let me plug that in, is very important. But man, you gotta own it to make your own rules, man.
but check this out.
Yeah.
So this is a 2-bedroom establishment. 2-bedroom, one.
I got some history fact to this, so that's why I'm kind of like just
All right.
listening. But go ahead.
But just throwing in some scenarios out there. It's a 2-bedroom establishment, 1 bathroom. It's supposed to be 3 people in this place. 3 people, the young lady and the 2 children,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now this place is swelled to 6 people. 6 people coming in and out. 1 bathroom. There's money being made, there's partying going on, there's all kind of stuff going on. Should they get all thrown out? Or should just the people who are abusing it get thrown out? That's just a side note. I just wanted to ask what your opinion on that is.
That's still the rules. It goes
It's
back
still
to
the rules, man. I'm like, if it's my house,
Thrown out, right? The babies too.
let's look at it like if it's well, that's a different story. I mean, they should get a warning. They should get a warning.
This is going on for 6, 7 months. They got 3 warnings. This is it.
They gotta go.
You gotta go, man. You gotta go. I mean, these are the tough. That's why it's called life, man. These are these tough decisions, man. That it's like dealing with that woman, man. She bad, she beautiful, man. She's everything, but yo, her head ain't right, man. Or she got a habit,
They
man. You
throw
gotta let it go, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you done put it through rehab. You done put it through rehab. She done.
like you going to extreme. They ain't talking about rehab now.
But I'm just giving you an extreme. I'm just giving this. This is extreme.
Right.
Putting a lady out with babies, man. I mean,
Yeah.
man, that's the.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't
And you know,
see.
well, it's funny because you know that's. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Big Mike. Go ahead. You can see
No,
what.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm done.
No, I was gonna say like, you know, Elbow to take it back, you know, to again the start of why welfare, how welfare started, especially for when we talk about like financial welfare side of things, right? Also, it was also nicknamed social safety net too, is what welfare was falling under. But going back to that 1920s, when I mentioned about the mother's pension, really the whole welfare, according to one of these podcasts I listened to, actually called Civics One on One. It was episode 93, actually titled Welfare. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. So I'll make sure I plug this information. But anyway, it was around, like I said, the 1930s. I said earlier because of the Great Depression. But actually, as you mentioned, it's funny you mentioned that you made me think about it when you talked about, you know, about the guy being there, any male being there.
Right.
But that was the primary focus really originally when they created this assistance or this welfare were for single white women
Mm.
who had children but had no male head household. I mean,
So you said
no man head of the household
wow.
is what originally was for. And actually, black women would receive minimum assistance, but this is an interesting one. But they couldn't, they weren't allowed to receive it during cotton picking season
This,
because that was considered income.
wait. You said what season?
Cotton picking.
You said cotton picking.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to receive any kind of assistance,
Wow.
and they was getting the minimum of it. But again, then trickling down again in the 30s. I mean, the women still had to work realistically back then to still make the ends meet. You know, even back in those 30s. But they were saying it was around the 1960s when they said it started creating like kind of like a little controversy as for the whole topic of welfare and giving women welfare. And that's when they started in the 60s. They that period is when they said they started kind of curving or trying to get people off of welfare or even participating. So then that's when they implemented what they call suitable home inspections, and what you're talking about with the males being there.
See who's up
And it
in
was
there.
called it was called a suitable homes inspections. So caseworkers was able to evict you or basically get you off of the assistance for various violations. And some examples was one they used to call the midnight raids. And that's when they used to come but see if they could catch a man in the house. So they go catch a man in the house, or either they want to see if they find some clothes or shoes. They would literally go
Evidence.
through the whole entire house
Wow.
trying to find evidence of a man being there. Because if a man is there, that means you should have some type of help.
Right.
And then the other one was child neglect. So they want to see if the kids look hungry or they look like you're not taking care of that. And then they want to make sure the house is clean. Because if it's not clean, that means you're abusing it. And then, of course, they had to require you to work or find some kind of training. And I know firsthand, I've been in a relationship. I had an ex that was on assistance. And I don't mind being, transparent that that was one of the things when things started getting serious that we actually had a conversation over. She was like, about you moving in, I'm giving up my check. Yeah, I became a check, you know what I'm saying? And when things didn't work out,
Messing up the money.
You messed up I gave a check up for you. that was actually said. That's a true story, yo. I was told, it was hot. Yo, I gave my check up for this.
Well, how much were you worth? That's my
exactly.
how much she gave up for you.
So that's what check I gave up for you. You know,
Wow.
so I seen it firsthand, and I seen that whenever she got a hint that an inspector was going around, because they had a little chat line, they knew when inspectors were coming. Some caseworkers would give heads up most of the time. House was clean from top to bottom. I had to be out, get rid of everything. And now a lot of that made sense now. I said, I've been there. I know exactly what he's talking about. I was raided.
Right.
That was part of the midnight raid.
Now, was this Section 8 or
They was doing Section 8. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah. And then whenever things got tight, I remember her I remember her telling, because she would take me to these odd places that I didn't even know even was around. Like I've been like, go over here, got a cable bill due. She didn't feel like paying for it, or, money was tight, or take me over here. She was finding it would be these odd little office buildings that I never seen before around the city. And
She knew though.
you go in, come back, check, paid for. You know what I'm saying? Cable paid for the month. I was like,
dang.
yeah. And I told him, I said, you know what? I said, no, not trying to be funny. I was like, yo, all this information that you know about getting over, just imagine if you just take that same talent and put it towards
Job.
doing
Getting
the
yeah,
job,
man,
man.
to getting
Yo, man.
small business loans and
Exactly. And that was one of the things that I did. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It is what it is, and I wish them the best or whatever. But I did try to do. I
but you
did try to
living
do my
large now. You living large now.
Nah. I tried my best to being an entrepreneur. I tried my best to, motivate them. I even tried to help them start a business and everything. But it is what it is. Things didn't work out, and I wish them the best. God bless them. But, move on.
Well, that's a smooth way to let you know, yo, I done came up, baby. So, hope you're all right.
We glad you.
But then, and I don't know, I didn't want to go too long on that. But then it was the 1970s is when they coined Ronald Reagan actually coined this phrase of the welfare queen, and that's when the whole
Reaganomics
Reaganomics and all that was going on so starting in the 70s. That was also, they say, the 70s is when race started becoming kind of a controversy when it came to welfare assistance, meaning it was like more of an issue for Black and brown women getting assistance. And so that's when that's when Reagan coined the phrase welfare queen, which was supposed to be a Black single mother who was lazy. This is the definition: who was lazy and drained or abused the system.
Okay, please quote who said.
Well, I mean, with children,
Who
a mother,
said
a
this?
single mother who was lazy. Ronald Reagan.
Okay, we will make sure the GBA didn't say that. Ronald Reagan said that. R.I.P.
Wow, that's
deep,
Reagan
right?
had some stuff with him going even back to when he was the governor of Cali, But that's another topic,
But going back real quick, I know we going back and forth and talking about the one thing I did notice too is that even back in that 70s, even to this day, that they said through research they found that it's the fraud that they like to always point out is very little fraud actually, and they actually say that a lot of women would prefer to not have assistance, and to be fair, there's something else I found out too. When we're talking about welfare, that according to, and this was in 2018 though, so I know it's probably even deeper now, that out of only 10%, this going back to families though, but only 10% of the families that are poor receives welfare, and it's over 40 or 41 million Americans in poverty. So only 10% of the families are actually using welfare services, and so you got to put that in perspective too. That
yeah, man, you got working people.
It's not as many people on it that we'd like to label being on it.
Okay. Well, that goes hand in hand with the next topic, unemployment. All right. So unemployment, the assistance for unemployment is, as we know, you lose your job, you can apply for unemployment. So you can get a certain amount or a certain percentage of what you was getting paid before, or you just get a flat amount and for a certain time period. So what have you seen in regards to, since COVID, I should say, since this past year with COVID, have you seen abuse or uptick in unemployment?
I gotta go first on this one.
This big Mike one right here.
I gotta go first on this one. It's funny. Just so happened I was talking to a good friend of mine up in New York, and he sent me a picture of a New York Post, and it had on the front page. I'm gonna text that to y'all too once we're done with the show today. and it says like 64% of Brooklyn, um, the businesses they can't find somebody to work. Um, but believe it or not, I'm more on the people that's unemployment side. For one, um, I just hope they have a plan once the faucet gets shut off.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if a lot of people experience this too. But man, when COVID first hit, like around March, and even though some of us still had jobs, we was able to work from home. Man, a lot of these jobs started abusing people. Man, they started giving them more work to do. They started treating them any type of way because they felt there was really no options for them. You should be privileged that you're able to. But I'm like, these workers are still helping you make money.
Right.
And then it's like, and I see two reasons why people are not ready to go back to work. For one, the unemployment, it's paying more than what they would do to have these some of these minimum wage jobs. And two, it's like, okay, y'all already understaffed. Why am I gonna get back to work and get work the dog out of me to make up slack for these, because we're understaffed. So most of the people I know, they now this is gonna surprise you. Most of the people I do know that's unemployment, they're right. I'm saying the COVID people,
Okay.
not the people that I mean, shoot, man, I've seen them. They balling out Miami and Vegas, and I'm just being honest, man. I'm being honest. I mean,
boy, he guilty by associations, man.
yeah, I'm guilty by association. Now I don't know everything in their household, feds. So just putting it out there. I don't know. I'm just going by what I see. I'm just seeing them.
I think I have to agree with you, Big Mike. That there's some, I being an entrepreneur, especially being I guess I would consider a mom and pop business, but being an entrepreneur from that perspective, there's some people that people definitely taking advantage of it, man. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is though, then on the flip side, I ain't, like you said too, I ain't mad at them either if it's gonna pay you more or do whatever. But my thing is don't get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's like
because it's gonna turn off.
Yeah, it's just some people just feel like like it's gonna be in their mind they get delusional, like they just think it's gonna be forever, and then they're the same ones that when the faucet, stops, they don't want to complain. Yo, this is ridiculous, man. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. I mean, you ashamed of yourself? You thought you was entitled to this for the rest of your life?
There are some jobs out there that's actually paying bonuses if you stay with their job for like 90 days. So there's jobs out there that's actually paying. So shout out to all of these employers out here ain't bad. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I mean, matter of fact, I know a person who elbow, you know what I'm saying, that that he works for a sit down a restaurant, you know what I'm saying, but he's on the IT side of things. And he shared with me, because I don't get no problems with nobody, but he shared with me that this restaurant, right, it's a chain, a national chain, and they was actually giving they were supposed to shut it down. Actually, that was at the time of this recording, it would be shut down by the time this recording is released. But they was actually giving employees 10 days pay for they went and got tested for COVID. So all they had to do is holler, "Oh, I've been around somebody. Oh, I got COVID." Then they get 10 days, sit back chilling. All they got to do is bring
I've heard about those too.
Bring the results. Like, yo, like.
Wow.
I heard I heard not even the restaurants. I heard some people in the like school system too. That's been able to do that say they've been around somebody and they send them all home and they're getting paid too. So
getting paid for 10 days.
Yeah,
and
man,
I hear they're giving out bonuses and gift cards and just to try to keep the morale up. But what's so bad is this same chain, they have their district managers cooking, man. Working the bar, like, because there's no employees, nobody there,
Yeah.
Okay,
It's crazy.
let me ask another question in conjunction with that. Do you think that the people who are doing this are just taking a break and making the best of a bad situation, or they just getting over?
Man, I, I
Combination.
I
I think it's a
think it's yeah, I
combination.
think it's a combination of all, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, man, sometimes I feel like I need a break, man. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
gonna get on?
you know,
Get on board, Big Mike?
mentally, huh?
You gonna get on board? You gonna get some housing?
No, no,
What?
I ain't doing that because the difference between me and them is, I I, I like to be in control, man. You know, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, when this gets shut down, man, it's gonna be serious, man, because everybody's gonna be gunning for them jobs at the same time then. And
And
um
that's that. Yeah, that's my thing. I'm glad you said that, Mike. That's another thing that I thought about just as we were preparing for this episode, and just this past week. I was thinking to myself, like, man, this is, I could be far out here, far left with this one, but I'm like, this is a great opportunity for individuals that have checkered passes. That's hard to find work.
yes, oh man.
This is the time now. Like, I get it that you can probably figure out a way to finagle to get you a check and chill too. But this is the time if you really want to work, you really want to grind. I would believe that as much as they saying there's many jobs out here that are need to be filled, right? I hear that the whole hospitality and the whole hospitality industry itself is in need of help. So I mean, this is the time for somebody that got a record. I'm pretty sure you got some drugs or whatever going on. You can't go talk to a manager that's desperate. You got a general manager
Yeah.
working the kitchen. You tell me they're not going to give you a shot to get your foot, at least to get your foot in the door,
Right.
and then you can progress from there. So I really think that this should be, some of these, individuals out here, whoever they are, because we all got some kind of past of some sort. So I'm not trying to point no finger, act holier than thou to no one else. I'm just saying that I would think that this is the time for somebody who has that issue of like, I can't find the work. My record always holding me back. They won't give me a shot. This, and that, and the third. This is the time to do it.
Right.
Jobs are
Let,
desperate right
let
now.
me ask you a question. Is and I know y'all thought of this too. Is the unemployment getting garnished for child support? Or is that straight them?
Mm,
Do
Mm.
you know?
I don't know.
Ask that question.
Because
Well, you said is unemployment getting?
like unemployment, is that getting garnished for whatever child support a man may have to pay?
I would think so, right?
I would guess so. I would think that would be the case, because no matter if you are on child support, any kind of assistance coming to you, it'll pick off of that first. Like, if you have some money
Okay,
coming to you,
okay.
like if you got a tax return, you owe. They gonna
Oh yeah, now they're gonna get you on them taxes.
so hopefully that is the case. Because as we know, we all love the children. GPA loves the children. We'll make sure you feed the children.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
love the children. Like Trick Daddy said, we love you. Love.
And that's a whole that's a whole other conversation. Because my thing is though, would it be adjusted based on what the check is, or is this one
Because
set
one
amount?
one of my boys, associates. Yo, this is a real conversation. He was like, yo, Mike, why would I go back to work, man? I mean, he's like, I was like, dang, my dude, you got 4 kids, man. And he probably gonna
Yeah.
hear this too, but hey, I'm telling the truth. And he was like, why would I go back to work, man? He was like, shoot, I'm getting paid more. I'm rent paid. I'm eating.
So I mean, but it go back to your question: is are they getting child support off of it?
See, I don't know. I don't want to start nothing though. I don't want them. Man, we starting to get a little
We
bit. We starting to get a little bit larger. I don't want no Fed be like, let
that's
me
a
shoot
brilliant
this.
idea.
I
That's
got
a
the direct
brilliant.
line to Biden. Let me shoot this up to him. So I don't, I
That's
don't.
a. So your boy's check get got. It's Big Mike that got you. You gonna
Nah,
send it up to.
nah.
Okay, so
Hey, I love the
No,
kids
but
more though.
we've covered
but I
a couple points thus far. So in regards,
but I did want to go back to one thing though.
Mhm.
I do have a client that told me that he actually did utilize um the um the whole keeping not having enough employees, 'cause at his company he was able to move up and got promoted faster because they had no one to work. He was in the hospitality, he was in the restaurant
Gotcha.
business, but he left from actually serving and was able to get to the bar. And then, the bartender, you working your way, you making moves. So that was a big jump for him
Mm-hmm.
to come from serving it, but the opportunity presented itself because they had no one to run the bar like that. So the manager was like, "Hey, we'll promote you," and he pretty much working to become like bar manager, like really quick. So again, I'm just saying, I just think there's opportunities out there for
Yeah, and
everybody
that's a
right now.
great point because when you're getting assistance, think about it this way: when you get assistance of any kind, whether it be government or from a family member or whatever, are you becoming dependent upon that, or are you just going to use the assistance to get your leg up? Because at some point, assistance means like you got a broken foot, assistance to walk up a staircase, or open a door for you, things of that nature. That's the type of assistance. But are you relying on that? Are you going to stand around wait people open doors for you? Are you going to stand around for people to put the red carpet out for you? Are you stand around looking in your mailbox for checks on a regular basis? So that's the point in regards to any of these types of assistance. Those listening to us ourselves, where's your mindset in regards to that? Now, Big Mike, I'm with you on that too. I wish I could take a break for several months or several weeks
Yeah,
and just
Yeah.
yeah.
check and just watch TV and whatever. Um, I know
Not,
me. I know me. I couldn't do it
Me
because
either.
it's not. That's just I'm cut from a different cloth in regards to that. Now, if I need to get that help, I'll take that help. But I'm eager to get back to on my feet again. I'm eager to
Me
take some
too.
right.
Me
assistance,
too.
move forward, and be thankful for it. But
Because man,
Exactly.
even a week vacation, it's hard to get my mindset to come back to work. So I can imagine months, man. But
yeah, yeah. Gotta think about that. Take a
it's
couple months off
I'm
back
just
to work. Ugh.
I'm
Yeah.
actually, man. I'm not. I can honestly say I'm really not mad at nobody, man. I'm more worried about them because man, it's when this gets. I know how it feels when you got some extra money coming in from a side hustle or anything, and that gets cut off. So I can imagine this. You're able to sit home, still pay your bills, still live comfortably. But man, when this gets cut off, everybody's gonna be gunning to get these jobs. These
Yeah.
jobs ain't gonna be as plentiful as they are right now. They're probably gonna start paying people a little bit less. Um,
Hmm.
it's gonna be I just
Yeah, it's
hope
gonna be. It's
I
gonna be.
just
Yeah,
hope
it's
they
gonna
got
be.
plans, man. I just hope they
Yeah, it's
got
gonna be.
plans.
You're right. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. Some people gonna be. It's gonna be tragic for some people. You know.
Yeah, it is, man.
Right.
Now it's funny. It's funny you said that, right? So I know you probably got to move on, elbow, but I was maybe think of something that I found when I was preparing for this episode. It was talking about like 32 important pros and cons of welfare, but then they had this interesting chart here that was talking about like the pros and cons, um, basically, or the advantages and by the advantages and disadvantages. And you made me think about it. And I was going to run through it real quick to see what y'all thoughts of
All right.
the pros and cons.
Okay.
What y'all think? All right,
Okay.
so some I want to start with pros and we'll start with cons
Let's
and see if y'all agree with this list.
go with pros first.
Go with pros first. All right, I think we kind of pretty much talked about this one. Welfare can help reduce poverty.
Right.
Y'all agree?
Yeah.
Welfare can help reduce poverty. It can give people better access to education. That's one of the pros with it. Welfare programs can help people get enough food.
Yeah.
Can help avoid homelessness.
Yeah.
Welfare may help to avoid social isolation.
Mm.
Better access to medical treatment.
Yeah.
Right? Welfare can help people get back on track. Like we just talking about getting people on their feet. It can help mitigate the income and wealth inequality problem. Basically, just be able to again go back to being able to make sure that they won't be socially isolated. Welfare can help lower social tensions. I guess get people getting angry and not tearing up stuff.
Ah.
So I
Yeah.
guess they say it reduces social tension. It could lower. They just says lower it. Doesn't say get rid. They just says lower.
Mhm.
That it's not saying that people that are on welfare that they still don't have some kind of stress and tension going on because they're only getting so much, right? Because from what I heard was really the poverty level amount they make is you talking about $2 per day per person.
Mm.
So um They can help support children in difficult times. Then we talk about different disabilities, right?
Right.
The other pro is a high demand for welfare. I don't know how that became a pro.
Help this
It's a
help.
high demand for it. Yeah. And then some people get into trouble without doing something wrong. So I guess welfare could be there to help assist them. So sometimes you can get into a bad deal or get set up at a bad job and the job or business fold on you and then you out of work. So I guess that's probably one example I could think of off the top of the head that, that they said some people get into trouble without doing something wrong. So it's not always your fault that you may need assistance. Then some cons. This was, I think, kind of tied in a little bit what we said was welfare could be quite costly. They talk about and I kind of
It's one of the biggest
costly meaning
expenses of the United States, depending on who's
I
president.
don't know. I know there's one factor that this one research said that actually the total federal budget that welfare is only 0.5%, man, of the budget, man, a year, and then 0.24% for the elderly. Now it may be expensive for the individual state. Now that's federal, but it may be the actual individual states. But then they said many people consider it to be dodgy, meaning that they get on it and they start dodging their responsibilities, wanting to go back to work. Money may not end up where it is urgently needed.
Of course.
Yeah.
We've seen that.
Y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Amount of the welfare significantly differs across the state. So not every state, again, each individual state, thanks to Bill Clinton in 96, he the one that pushed for each individual state to be able to regulate their welfare system. People may become dependent on welfare.
Yes, that's the biggest.
Applying for welfare could be very bureaucratic.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Less motivation to work.
Yeah.
Welfare may take away personal responsibility of people. Some people may misuse the welfare programs. Discrimination of minorities in some regions. The duration of welfare claims is subject to discretion. So each state is different. It could be up to 5 years of max. Some could be even less. It all depends on the individual state. Thanks to Bill Clinton, the first black president, 96. Many people just do not qualify for welfare. There's many people that don't qualify. And then welfare addresses the symptom and not the cause. And I thought that was interesting, that last one, but it addresses the symptoms, but not the cause. It made me think about that new Mike Epps show on Netflix, with that Upshaws or something like that was called.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's pretty funny. And one of the creators is Wanda Sykes, and she's also in the show as well. And she had a line in there because she has her leg is supposed to be bad from an accident, and she was trying to get assistance. It was coincidental that we were preparing for this episode. And it was a line that she said in there, like, "Yo, like I'm trying to get some assistance on my leg," and the only option was what they said. Oh, she decided to go ahead and do surgery. She didn't want to do it at first, but she decided to do surgery. But when she said she tried to go back to the welfare to get the surgery, they turned the surgery down, but they willing to pay for the medication for however long she needed to be on it. So she was saying that they'd rather pay long term for me to be on medication instead of go ahead and fixing the problem. So that was the joke that she said, like, yo, they'd rather just go ahead and pay me to sit back and just take meds versus go ahead and paying me and fix the issue, which is her leg. And then they don't have to worry about paying her no more, but they'd rather just give her meds instead of fixing the problem. So that would make me think about that line about it addresses the symptoms, but not the actual causes.
I always think about Cedric the Entertainer in Barbershop, though. And he's like, reparations. Well, we got welfare, don't we?
Yeah, but as we know, in our community, welfare, Section 8, food stamps, no matter what we want to call it, whether it be politically correct or not, it is something that's needed. Something that's
Definitely.
been used and also abused. But it's something new that came out since COVID. I think we're going to wrap up with this last point. This,
Oh, one thing I did want to say do too though before we move on.
all
I
right.
think we're going to the next one. That was real quick. That I want to make sure that again, like with the welfare system being different in every state, um also I found in my research that actually some certain states, I don't know which ones, but some are of course obviously better than others where they have their welfare system set up, is that they actually try to encourage marriage. I want to make sure I point that out too. Um, and that's also was used part of that whole trying to curve them off of assistance, is they believe having two income households would be able to get you off of assistance. So there are some programs or welfare programs that actually, I don't know how they do it, I don't know if they offer marriage counseling or something. I don't know, but they try to encourage these single mothers to get married or find a spouse, to be able to, or have a spouse to be able to get off of assistance and have a two income household. So I just thought that was interesting that they say some states try to encourage um, spouses and relationships and
I wonder what the
marriages too.
percentage is of those women or men willing to do that. Well, look, hey, let's get married instead of being on welfare. Like they might look at one another like, whatever, is we stack up like we've been doing and get these checks. But like we always saying, also everybody's moral compass is different. It depends on the
Mhm.
household, the upbringing, what you want to do in life. I just hope that anybody who's utilizing these programs always think about the end game. The end game is to take care of yourself if possible. You know what I'm saying? We really want to make sure that if something like that is out there, those are totally dependent upon it. Should be children who can't do for themselves, and the elderly and the sick. For those able-bodied people who can, take care of themselves and get a job instead of making money off the system. We hope that you encourage to do something for yourself. And like you had brought up, Alexander. Right now there's a lot of opportunity out there. If you really want to do something, it don't got to be
Yes.
something huge. But if you really want to do something, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Put in the work, people. I mean, you're gonna have to do it sooner or later anyway.
Right,
So you
right.
know,
And now I want to ask you guys this. One of those opportunities that come up since COVID is the PPP loans. So what do you know about the PPP loans, and what have you seen with these loans that be given out?
Abuse.
now, yeah, hey,
So next,
now this is the one thing I've been hearing about that they have actually been going after people for. You know, um, I've heard they've been starting to in some states really crack down on the people using some of those. So uh, I
I
ain't
think it
gonna
was a great.
mention this.
I think it was. I think it was a great. I think the plan for it was definitely grateful for that opportunity, but obviously people did abuse it though.
My issue was as soon as I mean, I think like it wasn't even a week before it was announced. I ain't gonna say the name of the restaurant, but it's a pretty um, high price steakhouse. Yeah, and they had filed already, man. I was like, man, it ain't even the program just launched, man. I'm like, and didn't the professional sports team get caught trying to get one too or something? I'd have to look it up. I
Yeah,
wish I would have did my
it
homework on that one.
yeah,
But
it was out there being an entrepreneur myself. I mean, I had opportunity because now the thing is, now the flip side to that, there was also there was businesses, especially some mom and pop business, I would call it, some smaller businesses um, that missed out because they weren't doing. And I know this is another show, but they didn't have their paperwork lined up.
hmm,
So they didn't have the paper lined up, because I'm in that business where you put the money under the mattress. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you don't have the paperwork, a lot of people who needed it, there are a lot of businesses folded because they didn't have their business in line. They didn't have their business plan. They didn't show their taxes they was paying. They couldn't show no
yeah,
kind of no kind of history. So all of my new businesses out there, and I feel you. When you first starting out, it's gonna tear your pockets up. But you got to generate that history, because God forbid something like this happens again. If you don't have no kind of track history, no history recorded, you ain't gonna be able to get no money. You're not getting anything.
Right.
And so there were businesses that actually I was noticing it as being an entrepreneur as well. I was like, yeah, these cats are getting this check, and they were upgrading their shops and their
Yeah,
restaurants,
I
and
was I was
they
seeing
were
dude
doing
on
renovations with
I
their
was
checks.
seeing dudes on Facebook giving their ads like, "Yo, you need help getting your money? Holla at me."
Wow.
I'll pay.
Yeah,
Just give me a percentage. Or I was like, "So
yeah.
cat."
And I mean, I mean, I consider myself a piranha. I may not be a shark, but I didn't take anything because I felt like because and I know this is another show, but kind of got my foot in both worlds of have my own business as well as being blessed to be able to also have a check coming to working for someone as well. And at the time, I just felt like I was eligible, and my circle. I mean, I had some people from my local small business center that kept hounding me like, "Yo, get this money, let's go, let's do it." And I chose not to because I felt like there was other businesses, small businesses that could have, especially by me really being part time with my business. I just felt like there was someone in the that could have used that money more than me. So that might not have been quite of a shark of me to do that, but I just felt like it was the right thing. Going back to my wife's grandmother quote, "Can't go wrong doing right."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was blessed and I was blessed and fortunate in other ways, but I just chose not to take any money. I
That's why
definitely
you
not gonna. I
blessed, brother.
definitely
That's why you blessed.
Salute. We salute you. We salute you on that.
Yeah, man.
That's all right there. That's all right.
but they were chewing me out though. This grant money, it's free. Now the loans is different. Now, I definitely wasn't gonna do no loan, but and then I wasn't gonna do no. I just felt like the grant money. I said that could go to. I knew other businesses that I felt that I encouraged to go, that I gave the resources to. Like, yo, look, this is how you need to get your money, and they, I try to bless them with those resources that I have
Boy, when
because.
we do our part in comments, I end comments, boy, I got something to add to that, man. I ain't lying to you.
But yeah, but yeah, them loans. Just getting some folks. They on some folks now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard Pennsylvania. I heard they started to really
Right, right.
crack down on people in that state, man. I heard that's where they it's getting real, man.
but
It's
some of
getting real.
them states probably want some of that money back now.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, keep in mind too, with personal loans like that they're giving out to people, they're giving out these loans in order to benefit their workers.
Keyword, keyword,
Loans,
loans, people,
loans,
loans.
right? So keep in mind that they're loans, something you got to pay back. Like you had mentioned, a grant is something that's given, but a loan is something you got to pay back. So do you want to put yourself in more debt? You're already doing a hard time, or just because you want to get over for a couple months, so you got to stop and think about that. There's a bigger picture, and I think us being the age we are, we kind of think at the end of the road instead of what's at the tip of our noses right now. We got to think forward instead of
Yeah,
just what's immediately in front of us, business wise, whether it be career wise, whether it be financially, or relationships, whatever the case may be. We need to start thinking ahead instead of just thinking about the here and
Yes.
now. Now I know that we all get our backs against the wall, and then as the saying goes, we got to do what we got to do. But most times, if you prepare properly, when those crazy times come up, you might be better suited to get through without having to do something desperate or do something illegal
yeah,
or have to sell one of those benefits we talked about to other people just to make ends meet. Now, those who have to
right,
do it, hey, we can't knock that because in some way or another,
yeah,
maybe if we haven't done it ourselves, somebody we know have done it, and we shouldn't judge nobody because of that. We just have a
No.
conversation in regards to these topics, whether it be government assistance or any other type of assistance that's going on that people are utilizing. We hope that people are using it to the benefit of themselves, to benefit other people, and hopefully from this show tonight, it maybe touch another point in your mind to wake you up in order to say, well, let me help somebody else by doing this, or tell them some information about doing that.
Yes.
You guys, you fellas have some great points. You're funny too. You're Big Mike. You're hilarious, man. You
Hey, I love y'all, man. So
much
No
love,
doubt, no doubt,
Big,
no
much
doubt.
love.
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
And also, too, I want to make sure I just point out, like I said, we'll make sure that anybody, like you saying, El Bull, that is needing assistance, that pride, man, don't let that pride, get in your way. Get that assistance, and we'll make sure I'll put in the and like I said in our description for the episode, some links to the welfare or just any financial assistance. So
I want to plug something in there too. Is that the one thing that worries me is all the money that we've been putting out there. The dollar, the power of the dollar's got to decrease sooner or later. I'm worried about inflation. Something that we talked about earlier. I'm worried about everybody when the time is you're going to have to work. I mean, have you been utilizing this time wisely? Have you been trying to educate yourself or get your resume ready? Or,
nice,
have
nice.
you been taking care of your health when it's time to go back to work? I'm worried. I'm really worried about how this country's going to look because, um, man, a lot of times, man, when the economy is, I'm just worried about, where the economy, we've survived this health wise now. I haven't checked the numbers in COVID, but now I'm worried about economically. How is it going to look 2, 3 years from now?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
we can't keep putting
we
money
going we
out
going
there.
through we going through another depression, man. I mean, we masking it better, I think, than compared to the Great Depression to now with technology, and we're so fortunate as a people, but we real talk, we in a depression, man.
Yeah, because a lot of businesses closed too.
Yeah, a lot of businesses closed. A lot of businesses are closing up because of what's been going on.
But yeah, so that's real talk. So, but my thing is, again, I appreciate it, fellas. You know, um, this was an interesting topic. I mean, I think this is one of those things that's going to be probably endless. We'll probably have to definitely do this again. So I guess we can probably wrap it up here. Definitely got to do another part. Also, too, any listeners, if y'all have any kind of topics you want us to talk about, please leave those in the comment box. If there's any kind of topics, anything in this that we might have got correct or didn't get correct, if you want to correct it, leave that in the comment box as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Mike said something wrong.
you
Please
know.
let Mike know that he said something wrong.
What it?
Yeah, so on that note, fellas, I think we got another one in the pocket. So definitely please make sure you for all our listeners that you like and subscribe to our channel, share. Also, too, you can find us on all your different podcasting platforms. We're now on Apple Podcasts. We're in the building. So
All right.
definitely come check us out.
Yeah.
Round of applause,
Yeah.
no doubt.
What,
And
what else we
so
what else besides that? What else we on?
we on Anchor. We on YouTube as well. You can find us on YouTube at Guilty by Association. So you can find us again in all other platforms
Spotify.
that's Spotify. We in the building for Spotify.
Spotify.
I ain't sure, just helping us grow. So we thank you all for y'all continue to listen and continue to support us. Like I said, please like and subscribe, share. Also too, for the next episode, we got the next topic is going to be men's health, physical health this time. I know we did mental health, but we're going to talk about physical health. So I'm looking forward to that. We got the El Bug, the swole El Bug in the
Yeah,
building,
yeah,
aka
yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying. I ain't gonna say the other AK. I say that for another time.
We're just gonna talk about things that keep on keeping on. That's all.
That's real.
No doubt, no doubt. So like always, man, I appreciate y'all. Again, thank y'all for listening, fellas. I'm Alexander.
I'm Big Mike.
I'm El Boogie.
Peace.